When it comes to talking about the WNBA, we of course know that there's two sides to every story, right? We of course know we have the politically correct side with ESPN talking about how they can make the WNBA better with different tactics, but they don't really provide the numbers, and that's something that really frustrates me as someone that's really interested in what the WNBA could do to better themselves. And of course, we've made countless videos on it, so it's frustrating that the WNBA and ESPN and all these websites don't really know the true numbers of how much the WNBA makes or what they're bringing in. And then of course you have the other side, which is of course basketball Twitter and people that are very, I would say, rude and mean to these WNBA players, because they would say that these WNBA players belong in the kitchen, it's a layup contest, no one really wants to watch, and it's just gonna be a thing where these two will never meet in the middle. Well, one thing could change the path of many things, and of course the new thing that just came out for the WNBA is that they've signed a CBS sports deal that's multi-year, and of course they're going to be broadcasting 40 games this season, which means of course that's going to be 19 postseason games, 16 regular season games, and of course the All-Star game. We know that CBS is trying to promote their sports network, just like ESPN has ESPN Plus and all these other stuff to make sure that people are watching stuff, almost like a Netflix-esque deal that we got going on with these sports channels, which isn't a bad idea, but at the same time, I just don't know a lot of people that are willing to pay that much. And we know that the declining cable retention is very low for some of these sports networks, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do here, because we know that CBS also just picked up the Big Three Sports League. Now the real question is going to be, does this deal help or hurt the WNBA? Of course it's going to help the WNBA in terms of bringing in more money, but the problem is we don't know how much money that they're going to bring in. Is it again a $25 million deal like it is with ESPN? Is it a lot less? Is it a lot more? That's the biggest question I want to know, because I think these WNBA players want to know if they can make more money. We of course know that Breanna Stewart, who was the MVP of the WNBA, just got hurt when she was playing in Russia. We're trying to make more money because we know that the WNBA players make more money out of the States than they do here. This of course brought the big speculation of these WNBA players need to be paid more. And the sad thing is, and I think the reality of it, and we talked about this in numerous videos, is of course that, we want these women to get paid. I don't want, if you worked hard for your craft, just like I'm trying to be an entrepreneur with different things, whether it's this channel, whether it's with basketball, whatever it is, I'm trying to be an entrepreneur. The problem is that if people aren't wanting the demand for it, that's going to be the biggest issue that the WNBA has to face. And of course, many people have talked about it before, right? It's if people aren't watching, if people aren't paying for the product, of course, no one's going to want to watch it or no one's going to want to do it. My issue with the WNBA, though, is that they thought that they could just kind of be in these big arenas so early. To me, if you're going to start a league, and I know that the WNBA started way early in, I believe it was in 1997 or something like that. I can't remember what I said in the earlier videos, but it started in the 90s, right? So to me, if it started in the 90s, why are we not putting these women in smaller venues, see how much capacity they can fill in? Because when you watch it on TV, it's just not impressive when you see that the front rows are empty, and they're probably asking people to move up in the front rows just like any people would, so that way it doesn't look so bad when it comes on TV. And that to me is probably the biggest issue that I have, is that the WNBA should have started out small. I mean, you got the Liberty playing in MSG when they really should be playing in a smaller arena. And even the Washington Mystics, they shouldn't be playing in the Verizon Center. They should be playing in a smaller arena. And it's not due to the fact because, it's women and they need to play in a small arena. It's due to the fact that there's not a lot of demand. There's not a lot of women, men, or children who are, whatever that you relate with. They're not going to the games because they just don't find it that interesting. And we talked about this numerous times about how we think that more women celebrities should be supporting the WNBA. You of course have Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, other people that are for the culture in that aspect. And the fact that they don't support it is kind of a weird dynamic to me, and the fact that they just don't want to support women empowerment, even women of different powers, whether it's political, whether it's pop culture. They're just not doing their due diligence to help these women. I mean, you don't see like girls like Katy Perry or Miley Cyrus or any of these other, Camila Cabello or what. I don't even know what other, famous sports, or not even sports, but famous pop culture women that there are. They're not really supporting the WNBA, and that's kind of a sad thing to me, and it's another reason why we've made numerous counts of videos, the WNBA versus NBA pay scale, the Skylar Diggins versus Harrison Barnes thing. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that goes on that we talk about here on this channel, but the fact that we just don't get an answer from these women, or from how we're going to make the league a better thing, to me, that just means that it's not a really big issue. Even though these WNBA players want it to be a bigger issue than it is, the problem is that not a lot of people see it that way. And that's going to be an interesting thing to see of how they can make it, you know, into the spotlight so it can be a bigger issue, because, you know, we've seen a lot of people do this before in terms of different things. So it's going to be, like I said, a very interesting thing, because, you know, when it comes to, unfortunately, you know, the Notre Dame in Paris burned down, but Kyle Kuzma brought up a good point that, you know, there's still people in Detroit without water. So it's kind of a deal where, you know, if it's something not even catastrophic, I mean, it is catastrophic what happened to Notre Dame, but it's also catastrophic to me that there's no clean water for the people of Detroit and Flint, Michigan. And, you know, we're worried, and there's people sending money to the Notre Dame thing from the States instead of helping out the people in Detroit. So to me, like, that's kind of like what I get, like, a really big frustration about that. And I don't know how the WNBA can kind of finesse their way into that. And it's kind of a weird thing to say, because they're not really finessing into it. But I just think that it would be a very, you know, something that they should be focused on. Now, the real question to me is going to be, with this new CBS deal, is this going to help the NBA in terms of their investment? Because we know that the NBA gave the WNBA a lot of money to invest into it because they see it as an investment. Adam Silver wants this league to grow, wants it to be big, because, you know, he wants that big revenue check that the WNBA or the NBA gets, the NFL gets when it comes to TV revenue, and that's where most of your majority of your money is going to come from, along with sponsorships as well. So it's going to be a question of how much money did CBS give the WNBA so that they can grow? And that's the biggest thing that I want to know, because when I really look at everything in totality, if this money isn't going to help the WNBA grow, then what's the point of signing a CBS deal that's going to be the same as ESPN? Especially if you want these women to get paid, if you want the owners to make more money, if you want this league to be in the green instead of the red, which it always is every season, then you're going to have to make sure that this deal is big and it's going to actually matter. And the question is going to be, can CBS bring the viewership to the WNBA? Because that's going to be the biggest thing, because we know that ESPN is accessible, we know that it's a cable channel, but at the same time, so is CBS. I mean, CBS, of course, is going to be on, you know, whatever channel affiliate. Of course, mine is 107 because I live in the Seattle area when it comes to watching it on Comcast. But when it comes to, you know, the stuff, when it, like, I would say, you know, the CBS network stuff, you know, the extra stuff, like when it comes to like FS1, it's FS2, you know, ESPN, ESPN2, and all these other ESPN channels, no one's watching the WNBA. Obviously viewership was up, but it doesn't relate, or it doesn't correlate to more revenue for the league. So that's going to be a thing where I don't know what the league can do to really make sure and really prove themselves that they really have the power and the capability of really increasing the power and the longevity of this league. Because to me, I think this league is going to have a 5-year window. If they can, you know, get more viewership, get more money, then I think it's going to be worth investing into, especially when you move into the smaller arenas. But the problem is, if you're going to be making the same money that you would if you were in a big arena, that's going to be the biggest issue, and that's going to be the biggest sort of disappointment. And it's going to be a question of, will the NBA and will sponsorships pull out of the WNBA and forget all about it? Because in the end, basketball is entertainment, and of course everybody wants to watch the NBA, everybody wants to watch college basketball, especially when you got phenoms like Zion Williamson in there. I mean, we saw the viewership skyrocket for the college basketball, and that's just the regular season, not even including March Madness, which everybody watches anyway. So to me, what can the WNBA do? Of course, this deal helps the WNBA in terms of getting more money, but the fact that they still don't have a superstar that's kind of well known, has a personality, and is someone that you can really relate to, not just as a woman, but also as a man. You know, if little kids see it, you know, little boys, little girls, if they see that this WNBA player is larger than life, almost kind of like a WWE character or WWF whenever you watched it, you know, like a Rock or Steve Austin. I mean, if you can make these larger than life characters in the WNBA or even close to it, then I think you have something there. And that's kind of the reason why, like I said, entertainment. People are going to pay for what they're entertained by, right? It's the reason why when you go to Lakers games, the prices are ridiculously and astronomically high. Again, it's the same thing when you go to the Boston Celtics. It's the same thing when you go to an NFL game. The tickets are expensive because a lot of people are willing to pay that much money to go and watch it. Now, the question is going to be, are they going to pay enough to go and watch the WNBA games? That's a different story, and that's a different topic for a different time. And that's going to be the thing that we're going to end this video on, is, of course, what do you guys think of this new CBS deal? Is it going to save the WNBA from total annihilation? Is it going to save it? Is it going to help, I would say? Is it going to help the NBA and its investment and how much money they're putting into the league? Because that's going to be the biggest question mark that I want to know. is the WNBA going to grow in the next 5 years? That's the biggest question that I want to ask you guys in the comment section down below. But anyway, guys, my name is Bernie, of course, here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Also remember to hit that notification bell so you don't miss our NBA content, and also of course WNBA content like we're talking about here today. We of course have the Harrison Barnes, Skylar Diggins fiasco and what happened in that thing. And of course we have other topics as well. We have Zion Williamson, John Morant, Lakers talk, everything that you can think of. Ben Simmons and the 76ers. We got you covered here on The Charge. Like I said, my name is Bernie, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.